All right, everyone, it's 7 o'clock, so let's call this meeting of the HOA to order. Let's have a roll call of the HOA board members. Regina, if you please.
Austin Cranston, President.
Here.
Julia Hines, Vice President.
Present.
Victoria.
Hi, all. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude and interrupt, but can't we clearly see who's here on the video conference? I don't mean to break protocol, but I only have a few grievances. And I was hoping we could knock these out pretty quickly. I wanted to catch at least some of the wheel.
Mr. Henderson, you will have plenty of time to speak once we get to your case. Until then, these meetings must and will continue its normal schedule of business as we have always done. These meetings are structured to stave off chaos and to maintain order.
Tell it.
The time scheduled for this meeting is exactly 1 hour. No more, no less.
Yes, sir.
Further, it cannot be compromised because a meeting member has interest in watching a television game show.
Well then, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause a disturbance in these important proceedings. I'll fall back. But just so you guys know, it is Celebrity Week, and Call from Family Matters is supposed to be on.
That will be quite enough, Mr. Henderson. Mrs. Banks, please continue with roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Cranston. Now, to continue.
Mr. Henderson, about your complaints. I'm pulling up your series of emails here and see that you first have an issue with our lawn mowing policy.
Lawn mowing policy? Is that what y'all call it? It sounds like something out of a uniformity code. I got a letter from you all. I presume because random from recess over here, Mr. Bates, lives down the street from me, saying that my grass has to be cut the same day and the same length as the other residents in the neighborhood.
Yes, and?
The letter reads that you all do this to maintain consistency in the neighborhood. How long have you been enforcing these type of rules? I mean, we live in Prim Heights. It's not like it's a gated community in LA.
Mr. Henderson, our neighborhood is one of the most picturesque, pristine collection of domiciles in the county. And it's because of our standards, our rules and regulations, that this neighborhood is of the highest quality in the area. You should be thanking us.
Excuse me, thanking who?
Thanking us, Mr. Henderson, because of these extreme rules that you so callously call them. Property values in this neighborhood have gone up an average of $100,000 in the last 5 years. Just check Redfin and see for yourself. If you adhere to these regulations and stick around for a while, who knows how valuable your home could be in another few years.
I understand all that, but what good is a nice and safe neighborhood and valuable property if the neighborhood is run by a bunch of Barney Fifes and Carltons?
Who?
I lost my mind there. I'm gathering that you all probably aren't the type of people who, I guess, watch TV.
TV is evil. We're losing our children every day to that zombie box. I mean, they should be sewing and playing with a cup and a ball, or even carving toys out of wood.
What?
Mr. Henderson, if you would have read your HOA manual as you were purchasing your home, you would know that this is a clear regulation. Grass is to be cut on Sundays and to be exactly 2 inches in length.
Yeah, I get it. I should have read the manual in full. But come on now, guys. 1,000 pages is a bit much for an HOA manual, don't you think? With that length, it could have been Harry Potter 8, Prisoner of the Castle Association.
Harry Potter books are banned.
Anyway, I mean, have you all actually read the document cover to cover yourselves?
1,076 pages, to be exact. And yes, we wrote ourselves.
Of course you did.
It's really quite a page turner too, especially between sections 85 and 117. Those are my favorite. I reread a little bit of the manual every night before going to bed.
Oh, you're serious?
I think we should move on. Hopefully, Mr. Henderson understands that this is a strict documented policy that he needs to follow. Mr. Henderson, can you move on to your next grievance?
Yeah. All right. Moving on, I guess. It's my understanding that one of you called animal control on me while I was walking my dog.
Oh. That was me.
Okay. Animal control told me that they were called because, from what I understand, my leash was too short?
Correctamundo. The HOA manual clearly states that dog leashes must be exactly 6 feet long. Now, for what I could see as I was spying on you from my window, is that your dog was on a 5-foot leash.
Wait. A few things here. One, you surmised that I was using a 5-foot leash just by looking at a distance from a window. Two, why in the world do you care if my leash was shorter than required?
Mr. Henderson, once again, the manual clearly states that when residents are out walking their dogs, their leashes must be no more and no less than 6 feet long. It's right there in the rules and regulations on page
Of course, you're going to tell me the page without looking.
673.
Right.
And yes, I was able to deduce that the leash was shorter than regulation size from my window. After all, what are neighbors for if not to hold each other accountable?
I just don't understand how you can have a community park. A community park, a place where our kids can play, we can all get some recreation, and then all of a sudden, you decide to shut it down and lock it. Rumor has it that you only give people the combination to the lock if they're going to use the park for tennis.
I'm not sure what's so hard to understand. We as the HOA made the decision to place restrictions on the park. It's pretty straightforward.
But why? The park is laid out with a baseball field, basketball courts, among other stuff. Tennis courts aren't the only things there.
Well, quite frankly, because we can.
Preach.
This is unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. I mean, I've heard of some wild HOA boards, but you all take the cake for playing communities.
Well, thank you. Dear, we got any more of that mesquite flavored applesauce? Oh, okay.
Mr. Henderson, I'm not sure if you know how a homeowners association works, but
Austin.
Mr. Cranston,
Mr. K. I know how an HOA works.
well, if
But-
you know how an HOA works, then you must realize when you buy a home within an association, you must abide by the rules and regulations of that association.
I know this. I just never thought in a million years that an HOA that I bought into would be run by the Vulcans from Star Trek.
Mr. Henderson, I think we've covered all of your grievances per the agenda, and we're approaching our 1 hour allotted time. If you weren't before, you should now be fully aware that all of these are documented regulations within the HOA manual. We trust you will follow them moving forward, and failure to do so will obviously result in fines, banishment from community facilities, or, depending on the violation, we, the HOA board, correcting the issues ourselves. Will that be all, Mr. Henderson?
You know what? Yep, I'm done. It's clear who you all are and how you operate.
Oh, great. Well, I'm glad we can educate you, sir. It always feels great when we do our duty to show our residents the path to a happy and healthy present-day community and an even better community for the future.
It's actually being sarcastic. You know what? Never mind. Bye.
Oh, that was rude. Certainly not a proper goodbye.
We need to keep an eye on that one.
I forgot to offer him our $10 coupon off his first fine.
Hey, hun. How's everything going down that way? How's your uncle?
Hey, babe. I'm doing pretty good. We just finished having dinner. Uncle George is doing a lot better. Today felt a little bit of a turning point. His blood sugar's pretty decent all day, less nausea, hardly any dizzy spells. How you doing? Judging by the lack of noise, some things breaking, and a million daddies, I'm gonna guess that the kids are either in bed or that they're somewhere glued to a television watching Power Rangers.
They're in bed. Had them do a series of kids exercise videos led by Billy Blanks. Then they watched an episode of Painting with Bob Ross. Needless to say, they didn't stand a chance. And I'm doing fine, you know. I had that meeting with the HOA earlier this evening.
Oh, yeah. How did that go?
I once had a friend from college who took the bar exam 13 times, failed it each time. He took it a 14th time, received preliminary results saying he passed, was given a huge congratulations party by his family and friends, and then at the party, he received an email saying there was a statewide error in exam scoring and that he actually failed the exam and had to take it again. And still, his experience and all that was 1,000 times better than what I went through in that meeting.
Really now? That bad, huh?
You wouldn't believe it. You know how HOAs generally have a bad reputation? Well, this group is the blueprint. Ridiculous rules, admitted neighborhood spies, an absolute lack of empathy. They were like the Legion of Doom from Super Friends. We must destroy Superman.
So wait, they didn't give in to any of the complaints? Not even the park?
Not even the park. The whole thing is we do what we want because we can. I got to do something about this. They have to be stopped. We moved to this neighborhood expecting to make this our home for the long haul, you know? But with the HOA, I don't think I'm going to make it into my first mortgage payment. They need to be taught a lesson or something.
I know they were difficult, and that sounds like a horrible meeting, but you need to take a step back. Remember who you are, a believer, a Christian man. Regardless of how ridiculous they may be, you have to approach this the right way.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I know. I don't think I've experienced anyone or anything as infuriating as them in my lifetime. And oh, speaking of the Super Friend villains, I just got an email from them. It says, "Thank you, Mr. Henderson, for the time spent with the HOA today. We hope the meeting served your needs to be heard as a member of the association. You will be happy to know that upon further consideration of your grievances from this evening's meeting, the board has decided that in addition to tennis, we will be adding the following to the approved list of activity or activities that the park can be used for upon request. Outdoor curling, and that's the end of the list."
I wonder if you can return the house in a certain number of days if you're unsatisfied, like clothes or that $500 worth of toys the kids ordered on my phone. Maybe I should call Charlene about that.
Now, that's a good idea.